What is going on, people? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. Hey, don't forget to check me out at twitter.com/Lore Reloaded if you want to talk about all of the fun-filled adventures that we always have. Or you can talk about whatever you want. Anything from Star Trek to Star Wars, politics, or even Steven Universe. How fun is that? Hey, if you want to play some games, come to twitch.tv/Lore Reloaded. Generally play on weeknights, Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Love to see you guys there. On that note, there is something I want to bring up. What's going on? Sean Lake, 100% American Buffalo, and Darth Raven. Something pretty is really interesting. I've included it in the description below, but I want to make you guys aware of this too. I recently accepted a gig for a game called Tech Wars Global Conflict, and this isn't a part of that advertisement or anything. This isn't included in what we agreed on. I've actually been playing that game and enjoying it though. So I figured I'd let you guys know about it just because I enjoy the game. Again, I'm not making any money off of this. It's just really kind of a cool thing that you guys should check out. It's basically like, I would call it like Mech Warrior, or not Mech Warrior because you're actually in it. Like, I want to say BattleTech, but something like that. You control mechs and you get to go around with them. So if it's something you want to do that's just like a really quick thing, you know how it's like games you just want to play a couple of quick matches or something, it's interesting. It's interesting enough that I'm letting you guys know about it. I'll probably be playing it tonight too, so if you want to come hang out and play with me, I'm going to put it right here, and it's in the description or the chat. Again, they are paying me to do an advertisement. This is not a part of that. I just thought it was pretty fun. So you guys check it out. The only thing that I hate about it, or not really hate, but the only thing that's unfortunate is it's on a different installation platform, so you can't get it like on Steam or anything like that, but it's pretty fun. Dan B, your videos are a blast. No, Dan B, you're a blast, good sir. You're a blast. What's going on? German Trekkie can't stay for long because he's got his own stream going on. We'll have to check that out after this. Steel Battalion. I have heard a lot about that game, but I've never really played it. Have I seen Razor Fist's videos on these 3 episodes? I have not, no. I'm sure it's very intriguing. What's going on? Michael Weir. Michael Weir in the house. Huge supporter of the channel, and just a great guy. Just a great guy. All right. Darth Revan changed his name back. Well, that's good. Bird of Prey 5 up into his house. Let's go ahead and get into these 3 episodes. I decided I'm going to go ahead and do a breakdown of this because I find it kind of interesting. There's a new series coming out that I'm doing more. I'm doing... there is a new series that I've kind of done a little more in depth that I am... it's coming out, and it involves Cisco, and so I had to watch a few different episodes, and a part of that was The Circle. By the way, if you're watching this, don't forget to hit that like button. 36 people watching, only 7 likes. What the hell, man? What the hell? So, I was looking in depth into The Circle for the different series that I was doing, and I forgot how interesting that arc was, and how, I guess, how applicable it is to, specifically, it is to what's going on today. So, for those who haven't watched it, and for those who may have forgotten, the actual episodes are basically a Bajoran movement has started to gain power, has started to grow, right? And because of that, there's starting to be rumblings and stuff, and you're starting to see graffiti and things like that. And it's The Circle is the name of the organization. And basically it's Bajor for Bajorans. And they call themselves, what the hell is it called? It's AGU, the Alliance for Global Unity is exactly what it is. The reason I remember AGU is because I make a joke about it in the script I'm putting together. I call it AGU. But anyway, so they're specifically trying to rid Bajor of any influence that's not Bajoran. curiously, there's kind of some fun or interesting, not fun, but interesting parallels that you see. And it's intriguing to see how they put everything together. Now, one of the unfortunate parts of the 3 series is that you only see it really from Starfleet's point of view. You don't get a huge focus in on those who are supportive of the Circle. They do bring up some points and try to have some counter arguments, but for the most part, none of it is given a quote unquote fair shake, I would say. The things they bring up is how Bajor has, for all intents and purposes, been under the rule of non-Bajorans in one way or another for a long amount of time. First, it was by force, and at the barrel of a gun with the Cardassians. And then when they got the Cardassians out of their space, they were so destroyed, their infrastructure so gone, that they had to have the Federation come in and assist them. The Federation comes in with good intentions and takes over their base, puts command staff on their base, and is effectively in control of that point, and then begins attempting to assist them with infrastructure. To Mentejo's point, the Federation is incompatible with Bajoran society. At the beginning, I think that is actually accurate. In the beginning, you have a society that the only way they can come together is to agree on which person the aliens they have, their gods, tell them to believe in. The Federation is as far from that when it comes to diversity, when it comes to belief system, when it comes to who's in charge. I would agree there is incompatibility there. And so I think they're still trying to get past that, still trying to meld an idea that you can have a superpower assisting you and not being overrun by that superpower. Plus, I mean, is it unreasonable to say, hey, this is Bajor, this is in Bajoran space. We haven't controlled Bajoran space. We haven't been able to decide what happens for 50 plus years. Why don't you let us give it a try in our space? So I don't know that there aren't some reasonable arguments there, you know? What I do think is crazy is the Prime Directive is absolutely stupid. When the Admiral says we can't do this because of the Prime Directive, the Cardassians may get involved, but we don't. Are you kidding me? The Klingon Civil War, all kinds of different episodes I could cite from TNG and DS9 where the Federation gets involved. Now, they don't go out of their way to say, hey, this specific point, we're gonna come in or anything, but they get involved all the time, and they even do it in that episode. It's just the Admiral saying not. I mean, they involve themselves in the middle of internal affairs, like every time there's a chance for them to do it. Or Ataka Tinga up in the house. Basically, the circle is an analog for the Taliban or the Iranian rebellion that ousted the Shah. I can't speak for what was going on at the time. I just think it's interesting for what's happening now. The circle, though, again, it's intriguing because they have good points where quote unquote moderates or people who are more conservative will agree with it. But unfortunately, it seems like those who are in charge are generally more on the toxic or extreme levels, and they take it a little too far. Your pop filter on your mic looks dirty. All right, JJMFDL, you're like the second or third person to say that. So, all right, hold on. Sorry, guys. I know we were having a pretty good discussion and everything and trying to trying to break down stuff and, see how it relates in our lives and become better people. But JJMFDL and like 3 other people have an issue. So I guess we're just going to sit here and clean this. So I guess that's going to be the rest of the live stream. So I hope that's what you appreciate for it. So everybody thank JJMFDL in the thing. There you go. Not perfect, but better. Bajorans have never known what's good for them. They need the guiding hand of a superior being, says Goldicat. I mean, is he wrong, people? Is he wrong? After 50 years of brutal occupation by an alien race, the rise of a group like the Circle makes some sense. Not only does it make sense that the rise of the group of the rise of a group like the Circle makes sense, it's also logical that, again, it seems like a majority of the planet is okay. It seems like it's accepted. Dialogue talks about how troops are moving into the capital and how the provisional government is basically surrendering. I'm sorry, Lore and everyone. No reason to be sorry, buddy. It was important. We took care of it, buddy. We took care of it. 67 people watching, only 18 likes. Why do y'all hate this? Why? Hit that like button, people. Don't be scared. Stroke it. So, the question really becomes, when did it go too far, or what would be reasonable when we examine Bajor's decision to basically elect and accept Bajoran Nationalists? What seems interesting, too, though, is towards the end, they're having an assembly where basically there's going to be a passing of the torch. Power is being transferred over. And it looks like it's the religious groups and the religious circles that are giving the power. Talk to you later, Gold Ducat. Always a pleasure to have you, sir. Always a pleasure. Which again makes me question how much power does the religious orders have over the planet? Are they the ones? Are the religious orders basically what our political orders are? And again, that goes back to how that's inconsistent with the Federation. Well, he's not wrong. They literally worship wormhole aliens, so they do need the guidance of superior beings. Hey, there you go. Maybe that was because people didn't want to risk another potentially devastating war. Ryan K., if you could expand on that. Here's an interesting piece, too. Here's another thing to break down that I think we need to kind of go into a little bit more, is the... and it's gone. What did I want us to go into a little bit more? How scared Bajorans were of the Circle. You saw them trying to get off of Deep Space Nine because they were worried what was about to happen. Basically, even the people they're trying to help were scared of them. And again, it doesn't go too far into it, but it's interesting. It's interesting to observe how it occurs. It starts out as just a rumor, and they just continue to gain power. And the thought of Bajor being for Bajorans continues to get more and more palpable or palatable. It seems to something that just makes sense. But there's also a lie in it that I thought was intriguing, because a lot of what the Circle was considered a terrorist organization and did do terrorist acts. A lot of what the Circle stood for and said, I think Bajor already had. So they said Bajor for Bajorans, and that Bajor should be controlled by the people of Bajor. Well, that's fair enough. But Bajor was already in control by Bajorans. Deep Space Nine technically was always in control by Bajorans. They just thought that Starfleet could do it better, and they wanted someone who could help them out while they figure all of this out. At any point, the provisional government could have kicked out Starfleet. What the Circle really was saying is that anyone who isn't Bajoran, who doesn't have ridged noses, shouldn't be either on the planet or in charge or in the government in some way of Bajor. So they take what is arguably, I think, uh, reasonable arguments and put a xenophobic twist to it, but they couch it in a way that makes it seem like at the beginning it's just a legitimate concern. Darth Revan says, weird thought. Do you think people will go to Bajor and join their religion since their religion was basically proven correct? It could bring religion back to the Federation. At no point was the religion ever proven correct at any point. It was still ambiguous at best. I don't think they ever proved it. However, at least one Federation officer, that of Captain Sisko, converted to the religion, and so it's possible that those other officers, or even people who become a part, or who are a part of the Federation and go to Bajor, could start to believe. Proto Duchy says it makes a lot of sense in the sense that there is something different from the norm. If you think about the way Bajoran society is structured, it has a lot in common with a theocracy. It absolutely is a theocracy. Michael Weir says, hey, Lore, love the show. Just wanted to let you know that Axanar is shooting while we chat. Again, Michael Weir, it is always a pleasure to have you on, man. I couldn't say enough good things. You deserve all of the fun, all of the graciousness, all of the praise that I could give you. I know you put that in the actual chat. I took a look at it, but again, I'm live, so I haven't really focused on it. They said Prelude to Axanar is shooting right now. Looking at it at the moment, they're all in a circle going around one person. Okay. That's interesting. You're trying to get people to leave my stream? What is up with that, Michael? Thank you so much. Again, I can't do this without your guys' support. So thank you for the super chat. It's something I'll take a look at, and because I get a lot of information, I'll look more into their actual production on that. I'll say that. Bajoran society honestly reminds me of a kindergarten class. Everybody talking at once and nobody really knowing what they actually wanted. Wade, to a degree, I think you have a point. But I don't really blame them either. They have not had the power for so long that they don't know what to do with it, you know? Everybody has a different idea of what Bajor should be. And so I think that that's probably where they're going with that, you know? Michael Coulter, do you think the government or the news was saying something different that made it seem like Starfleet was trying to take over, so the Circle looked like they had Bajor's best interest? You know, I don't. I don't think that. What I would say is I think that what they do is the effect of that. What probably occurred was they weren't necessarily putting down Starfleet, but they were pushing the Bajor for Bajorans movement. So instead of saying, Starfleet's trying to take over, they're horrible, what they were probably saying was, we've been under occupation for 50 plus years, and we've never really had the ability to govern ourselves or have the power to decide our own fate. And what immediately happens after we get our freedom, you have these people who are meaning well in the provisional government, who are heroes, who are meaning well, just kowtow to another superpower when you don't need that. But Bajor can be taken care of by Bajorans, and it should be. Our military installations, our trading hubs should be ran by Bajorans. We should be the ones in charge. If you look at Starfleet and the Federation, they don't believe in the true gods. Heck, arguably, none of them believe in gods at all, and that's who you want in charge? Somebody who doesn't believe in the true gods of this universe? So at this point, what's best for Bajor is for Bajorans to be in charge. The people who were here first, the people who had to go through that, they don't understand what we went through and they can't empathize. They're great people. Some of my best friends are Starfleet and Federation. And I enjoy talking with them. But when it comes to who should be in charge and when it comes to our society, it should be Bajorans. That's what I think they're saying, if we were to get into the media. Nathan Norman, what I want to know is, were the other nationalistic organizations in a planet as ravaged as Bajor, you think there would be more than one? The Circle was probably an amalgamation of all of them coming together. Because remember, first off, it's called the Circle. Secondly, their other term was the Alliance Alliance for Global Unity. So it was probably an alliance of multiple nationalistic sensations. Alexander Hagen, just stopping by to drop a tip. Have a great day. Thank you, Alexander. It's always good to see you, buddy. Come. I hope you can stay by later. Oh, you love my shirt? Stay back. I'm allergic. Stupid. Yeah, it's true. Joseph Petrick, I'm poor, but I hope you love me despite the fact. Guys, I always enjoy you guys as fans. And Joseph, again, you're a huge fan of the channel. I'm just glad we can have a conversation. Just coming up, showing up, and having a conversation is supporting the channel too. So, I mean, and even if you didn't support the channel, you're a pretty cool guy. If you left, I'd be sad because I think you're cool. So what do you mean with the Circle trying to get Starfleet out of the Bajoran system? That was their entire point. They wanted all Xenos off of their planet and off of their station. They believed that Bajorans should be the ones in charge and that everyone else can get the heck out. They needed a complete change from top to bottom, at least for the beginning. Fantasy Fan 011, Bajoran society at the time we're introduced to it is in the midst of extreme survivor bias. The authorities, religious otherwise, likely represented the most radical and tenacious on Bajor. You know, what I would say is what initially happened. Be different from the norm. Take off your shirt. I'm not taking off my shirt, buddy. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm one day I may for you. I'm not doing Extra Life this year, but next year I will be, and I'll take off my shirt for you, buddy. What was I saying? So something interesting that occurred with Bajor when you're looking at their progress. Bajor, for whatever reason, is able to push Cardassian out. I think Starfleet had a lot to do with that. The Federation had a lot to do with that. But for whatever reason, the Cardassians leave. Bajor doesn't instantly go into civil war, but is able to bring together a provisional government that is generally very moderate, which is something I don't know if we've ever seen that in human history at all. So it's kind of interesting. The Circle is the Bajoran Terra Prime. Yeah, I'd say they're the Terra Prime. Maybe a less radical Terra Prime, but just barely less radical. Bajor needed help to recover from the occupation. I agree. Perhaps the Federation, specifically humans, saw things differently since they allowed Vulcans to take the same role. I don't understand what you're saying, Wade. Can you talk to me about that, please? I'd be more interested if you can expand on that. Photo Dutchy, that feel when you want Super Chat donate, but you can only pay with credit card or PayPal. You have anywhere I can donate with Ideal? I hate Patreon as a platform, so it won't sub there. There's a couple of ways you can do it. If you check the description, there should be a paypal.me. I think it's paypal.me/Reloaded Studios. I actually get all of that money if you want to do it that way. Or there's also a Stream Elements tip, which it should say the words if you put something there. So if you're like, hi, Laura Load or something like that, I get all of that money. Super Chat only takes 30% of everything. So the PayPal link in the description is a good way to do it. If you're talking about doing it monthly, I don't have anything yet. People keep asking for that because they don't like Patreon. There's not a great amount of options, but thank you so much for thinking about it. And that's a couple ways if you wanted to. If Laura goes topless, will YouTube shut him down? They actually won't. I've done that before. Before the Cardassians took Bajor, they had a caste system. So maybe part of the Circle's manifesto was not to go back to that. So maybe part of the Circle's manifesto was not to go back to that, and they were loyal to their resistance cells and not the government. Maybe. That's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, we don't know... we don't know a lot of their platforms, and I wish we had. It would have been more interesting. Unfortunately, even with a 3-episode arc, it was more black and white, but that's how things were written back then too, to be fair. Victor Snyder, helping out your channel. Thanks for bringing good chats to YouTube. Well, I'm here for you, Victor. Yo, I'm following you on Twitch, so whenever you want to start doing streams there. Sir, I've been doing streams the last couple of nights. Unfortunately, the first 2 or 3 nights, Twitch had an issue, and it wasn't sending out, and it wasn't showing. Even though I was online, it said that I was offline. And they supposedly got the issue fixed. So I am trying to do it for you guys, and have been on there. Generally at 8 p.m. Central Standard. We never see any other nationalistic group after the Circle fell. They didn't even try to help the Maquis. You'd think they would use them as a chance to get revenge on Cardassia. You know, it's possible that they... it's possible that they joined the Maquis after that. One of the things about the nationalist group that I didn't like was that it showed that they were being supported by Cardassia, and that instantly broke the Circle and destroyed them. You know, I get that they can't be too complicated with it, but I wish they could have more battled a little bit on the merits of their ideals versus, oh, Cardassian bad, Cardassian like this thing bad. That's, in my opinion, bad writing. And it is one of the idiotic things today, too. Like, if someone who does a bad thing or is a bad person likes something, everyone assumes that something is bad, when it may or may not be. And that was one of the weaker points of the arc. I like the arc overall, but I think that was a little bit of the weakest point. After World War III, we were left much in the same position as Bajor. The Vulcans were really helpful to get us back on our feet through the relationship soured over time. Oh, I got you. So yeah, so the humans, I see what you're saying. It wasn't 1-to-1, but yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see why the humans or the United Earth would vote to help out Bajor based on that. I didn't even think about that. That's kind of a cool little thing to put together there. See? We learn all kinds of things together here, too. Hey, Lore, maybe Bajor has seen itself between 4 major powers and they choose to collaborate with the one least imperialistic to build up to a competing state. Also to keep their own extremists in line and not start a war of revenge they can't win. That's what I was saying beforehand. I think the provisional government gets a lot of bad press in the beginning, talking about it being weak or not wanting to help or wanting to kowtow. I think the provisional government was a moderate government that was doing the best it could with what it had. By the way, Star Trek Online is not canon, for those who asked. But I do think that I think that the way the provisional government worked, there it was. The way the provisional government worked, they were doing the best with what they can, and they were making the right decisions for Bajor. The problem is that Bajorans had just gotten the heck beat out of them for 50 years and wanted nothing but instant wins. And you can't do that. That's not how the world works. Mr. Miles, chief engineer, do you think the Maquis and the Circle would have gotten along? I think, yes, I do. In fact, I think the Maquis would have accepted them. I have to disagree. When the leadership fell due to the tie to the Cardassians, I feel like the Circle would have been in disarray and crumbled. Okay. I mean, they would still possibly join the Maquis. I'm not sure their dissolution would have impacted that. The provisional government was a bunch of high-ranking military freedom fighters playing at politics. I don't know, Functional. I don't know that I agree with that. How do you imagine Bajor in Picard and Beyond era? I don't know that we'll see Bajor. Andrew, I'm glad you enjoy the content. You're as awesome as well, sir. I don't know that we'll see Bajor in Picard. I don't know that they want to bring DS9 up at all, to be honest. Bajor was put on the map, though. Bajor became a power in and of itself. I always assumed Bajor joined the Federation at the end, but apparently Ira, Stephen Barris, says that didn't happen. And there's no dialogue that includes that. So I guess I have to accept that maybe that didn't happen. I always assumed they did, but apparently they didn't, and they became a major power within the Alpha Quadrant, especially having the gateway to the Gamma Quadrant. The provisional government was far too provisional. I feel like that's a quote, but what specifically, if you wanted to move forward on that? I really enjoy your streams. Keep up your work. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hey, if you like this, you should check me out at twitch.tv. Twitch is a lot more laid back and doesn't have to be Star Trek related. And I like to play games and stuff, and I like to be myself, and we talk about everything from politics to Star Trek to just whatever. It's a lot of fun. Sisko did despise Picard. He did. Here's an interesting thing. At the end, we're never told, but it looks like he may have actually forgiven Picard because he moved past it, but we never know if he did. We never get actual resolution there. And you never notice it. I didn't notice it until I started doing the new series. What would happen if the universe from Stargate with the universe of Star Trek? What happens? A more accurate world, Earth, would be faced with the Alpha Quadrant, I guess? I was quoting Kira in the first episode. Yeah, I knew it sounded familiar. German Trekkie, why not Mixer? Because a couple of reasons. First off, I'm not completely against Mixer, but everybody's on Twitch. Nobody wants to create a account for Mixer. And I can already make money on Twitch. So there's a few reasons there. I'm old and haven't used Twitch, says Michael Weir. Have you used Mixer? I believe Bajor won't come up too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but did not DS9 go to the Bajorans? DS9 was technically always the Bajorans, but you had a Bajoran in charge once Sisko left. I was amazed Sisko never went off on Picard to Worf. That would have been a massive it would have been interesting. German Trekkie, well, I did just for you. Yeah, I know. There's more to it. I'm sorry, man. I may do something for my Mixer gang. The Prophets probably, even in Chap S's and Chaps. What's up, Nigel? The Prophets probably guided the Bajoran religion to influence bringing the Federation in. That is why Kai Opaka welcomed Sisko in the Emissary. She influenced the government in accepting the Feds. Yep. From start to finish. I will do this at the end of the Dominion War. I'll do this at the end of the Dominion War, but from start to finish, the Prophets played everybody like chess pieces from the beginning to the end. Once the Cardassians were pushed out, the Prophets went out of their way to ensure that the Federation would move in, that Sisko would be put in charge of it, and that he would become the emissary. And yes, I would completely agree that the reason why Opaka was doing that was because of the Prophets themselves. And because they don't understand linear time. They exist at all points during the entire thing. And so even before they were aware of Sisko, they went back and impacted Opaka. They forced a woman to carry a baby against her consent. Not to mention she had to have sexual relations without her consent. They did a lot of stuff. Beginning to end, the Prophets pushed a lot of things together. They should have hired Klingons to help their military training and get some Klingon ships to help with the defense of their planet. Interestingly, all of the alternate universes have the Klingons taking over. Every one of them. Do you do some Stargate things? I might later. I haven't yet. I did a couple of battle breakdowns. I actually do have some Stargate content, but it was done so poorly that I was like, yeah, I'm going to pull out until I can have more time, I can become more acclimated, as they say. Would you agree that Kai Wynn is evil? Maybe. Maybe I'd agree with that. Maybe I would. I agree that Kai Wynn is evil. I think that I wish they hadn't made her so evil so fast. I wish we could have taken time to grow to get to know her. Yeah. We are of Bajor. I wonder if they are ascended ancient Bajorans. Now that's an interesting concept. What if the Bajoran wormhole aliens actually were the top evolution of Bajorans, became what they are, set up the wormhole, and then used it to go back in time and ensure Bajor would go through what it went through? What would you expect? Bajor becoming the Swiss and staying independent and neutral in the future? Or Panama, who gets semi-colonized for having the wormhole? Panama? Ultimately, I think they're trying to write it as the Swiss, but I would expect it to be I honestly expected them to... I thought they became a part of this Federation in Starfleet. If you had asked me before watching that documentary, did Bajor ultimately become a part of the Federation? I would have said yes, because it was my understanding they did. Kai Wynn had darkness in her heart with her grasping for power, but I think she redeemed herself in the end. I would disagree, Sarah. I would heavily disagree. Bajorans were a lot saner than the Minbari. That I'll agree with. By far, the Minbari were interesting, to say the least. Interesting, if you will. Take care. Oh, talk to you later, Victor. I'm sorry I didn't see you leave. Question: Are the prophets the viewer? From a meta point of view, the viewer can see Star Trek at all points. I mean, no, because they also impact. So I don't know that they are the viewer, if I'm going to be honest with you. If I had to guess, I would say no. It bothers me that Wynn genuinely seemed more evil than Gul Dukat was originally in the series while watching it, as I am now. Yeah, they not only was she, I think, as or not more evil than Dukat, she again, they made it way too quick, way too fast. I mean, it was just like 0 to 100 with her, and we know within the first season. I think what would have been more interesting, and she tells us, doesn't show us how she reached out to the prophets and she couldn't feel anything and she was always lying. I think the first and second season with Wynn should have been her as a sincere, devout, religious person that just never really felt what she was saying. And we see her struggle and see her slowly go that way, making exceptions here and there. And then the Pa Wraith reaching out to her and actually showing her a religious experience that she never had before. So, do we still call Trek fans Trekkers, or have we gone back to Trekkies? I'm not big on labels. I don't like gatekeeping. As for the Federation and the gods, they don't worship Q. Why would they worship anyone else when they aren't impressed? I agree. That's one of the reasons I think that they that's one of the reasons that I think they are specifically secularist. I think they've met so many gods that it's useless. It's a useless way of looking at things, because if you have entities that can act like or be gods, then there really aren't gods as we accept them. Morgan Gray, are the Bajorans split into factions? They in fact are, which is a good question, my friend. They are split into factions, specifically religious sects and religious orders. There's also some sub-factions based on who was who within the during the Resistance Age, because you have different resistance cells. But for the most part, when it comes to political factions and specifically political weight, it is the different sects that believe in the Bajoran prophets. We see that early season 1, and then it comes back, I think, season 3 and season 4, I think. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, Morgan. Do you like Stargate? Yeah, sure, I enjoy Stargate. Personally, I prefer Bajor being a Federation ally instead, especially after the occupation. I prefer him joining and making the Federation stronger. I also like the thought of the Federation accepting a planet that is heavily religious. Yeah. Just look at when she was very radical, and she started out with a small order. I think her order got a lot more powerful in the end. Um, yeah, yeah. I was a bit shocked when Wynn literally backstabbed Solbor to keep Ducat's secret. That's my point. I think the writing on her could have been better. That was a huge moment for her, but it didn't feel like it. It didn't have as much of the weight, you know? Michael Lindsay, hypocrisy much. Not sure what you mean by that, buddy. Morgan Gray, also a new member. Heck yeah, welcome to becoming a member. Yes. For those who don't know, if you don't like Patreon, you can also become members, which is through YouTube. It's just like Patreon. I try to make sure that you get some of the similar stuff that I do with my Patreon people as well. So when is impressed by the religious experience, wouldn't it be healthier for Bajor if they had some scientific balance for the religion? Sci-fi can provide and would have opened her eyes. Starfleet can provide. Oh, let me reread that, saying it right. Wouldn't it be healthier for Bajor if they had some scientific balance for the religion Starfleet can provide and would have opened their eyes? Maybe. They had Starfleet for 7 years, and they were still heavily religious by the end of it. So how much of an impact could have it had? I think it would be negligible. The prophets of the Terran universe should be the Paul Wraith. That would be interesting. That probably is what happened too. And then the ones resisting would be. Directly remember the various Vedeks being leaders of their own churches within the Bajoran religion. Correct. The portrayal of Kai Wynn was so perfect. The actress was so excellent. The actress was good. I don't know that I agree with the way they wrote her, if I'm being completely honest. All right, guys, this one, generally Fridays, I'm not going to do it. It's Monday through Thursday that I give you the hour and a half to 2 hours. So I think we're going to be ending this one very shortly. That is what the join button's for, AXA Minoton. Do you guys have anything else? Anything else you want to throw out before we end? There won't be a video coming out today. I might have one tomorrow talking about the Bajoran Nationalists, just because that intrigues me so much. Defiant versus the Daedalus. Which ship wins? The Daedalus, to my knowledge, does the Daedalus have transporters? I think they have that technology. They have transporters. It's pretty... probably be pretty even. I don't know. I don't like mixing universes just because it's so hard to see which one would win. So did the Prophets in the Mirror universe have that universe's Cisco conceived? You know, I think that universe's Cisco probably was born naturally because, again, it's generally, a lot of it's supposed to be opposite, but it is possible. If they did have it conceived, it was the Paul Wraiths that did it. The Terran Prophet theory would bring further explanation to why going back and forth in the Mirror Universe happens so much. Well, the Terrans aren't the Prophets. The Bajorans would be. Michael Weir, again, helping out the channel. Go eat lunch. Thank you so much for the support, man. I appreciate all you guys. I'm glad all of you guys supported. With that, I'll go eat dinner later tonight. I actually already ate lunch. But I'll take the girls out to dinner. Thanks because of you guys. Thank you so much. Wish we have gotten more of the first Kai, not just a few episodes. I agree. What's up, Eric? Eric has a massive roleplay mashup. Ooh. Yeah, you just come in with the Defiant and you just have him do ramming speed. Because that's apparently what you do. You don't look at ways of repairing the ship or saving your own people. You just slam yourself into it. Bajoran or Trill? Who's hotter? I'd go with Bajoran. I think most of the Bajorans are hotter than Trills. The last DS9 season was a bit rushed. The Dominion just collapsed and the characters were written less complex. I never looked at it that way, but maybe. Whose hair is that? I've never looked at it that way. Maybe. Can I punch a link in here? No, it's not going to accept links from you, Eric. If you want to send it to me at james@lorereloaded.com, like right now, I can take a look at it, and if it's okay, I may just share it, good friend. I may. So yeah, apparently Axanar also is they're doing filming, which is great. I don't think the Trills were. I mean, the Trills were attractive, but I don't know. There's something about the Bajorans that I like. I love Cardassian women. Cardassian women are beautiful, aren't they? And I'll tell you who else is beautiful, in my opinion. Oh hell, what the hell are they? Vorta. James@lorereloaded.com. Vorta are just beautiful, in my opinion. We don't see many of them, unfortunately, but at least the ones they do show, they're just, yeah. All right, so any other questions, or are we going to be ending it? 83 people watching, 61 likes. Gotta hit that like button. I'd like a Romulan girl. I feel that they'd be low maintenance. No, Romulans are low maintenance? Eric Coravar. James@lorereloaded.com. That's actually a street address. I just doxed myself and gave you how you could write letters or come to my house. Yeah, James@lorereloaded.com is a street address. Well, Cardassian women are superior to both the Trills and Bajorans, but always humanity first, you say. I never really liked. I never really found Klingon women to be attractive, personally. I don't know. That's just me. Yeah, guys, I'm going to give it a few more minutes because apparently I'm being sent a link. I might try German Trekkie. I don't make any promises at all. Everyone's about to call me alt-right now. Sent it in a message on Facebook. I don't even look at my Facebook. I need to. I need to do more on that. Dude, you got a couple more seconds. A couple more minutes, and then I gotta bounce, buddy. I can't. I'm done dancing. B'Elanna, I didn't find B'Elanna attractive. I just don't find Klingon women attractive. It's not a bad thing, necessarily. You be well, too, man. All right, brother. I tell you what, send it to me, and maybe next time we'll take a look at it and share it, because I'll be doing this again. But with that, I think I do have to head out. Sorry that I wasn't able to get it, but we'll get it next time. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on the next Lore Reloaded.